Hey everyone, and welcome back to Crime Wire Weekly. We're just going to kind of spitball these topics today. I didn't have time to write them down. We've just been blowing and going here at Envision Podcast Studios, but we're going to talk about a former paramedic in Louisiana claiming to be a doctor that was finally sentenced to federal prison this week. We're going to talk about a private investigator that is challenging officials on the Bayou serial killer theory. For those of you that are unaware, 16 people have been thrown in bayous in and around Houston, Texas. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We've got an update on Disney World deaths that have increased in the last 3 weeks. Of course, we brought you one story, a suicide, just tragic suicide from Disney World. 4 people total have died since. We're going to talk about that and so much more today on Crime Wire Weekly. I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Kelly Jennings.
Well, Kelly, this is our first episode since Halloween. Any exciting Halloween stories for you?
No, not necessarily exciting, but I brought, y'all know I love my cockatoo Teddy. He's a cool dude. And I brought him out to see the Halloween festivities because he loves being outside.
Did you dress him up?
Oh, he's always dressed to impress. But, you know, it was...
feathers alone?
Oh, my God. He's just majestic. But, no, my daughter wanted to bring him out, and we didn't think this one through because she had put on makeup like a cougar, you know, like cat, and she had cat ears.
Yeah.
And when I walked outside, he was like,
yeah.
And he freaked out and tried to fly away. I was like, take off your ears. And so she took him off, and then he calmed down. But, man, instincts, that's crazy. You know, he's hand-raised. Yeah. But he still knew he did not like that cat.
All right, let's get into the crimes for today. We're going to start out in Louisiana, and an ex-paramedic has been sentenced for impersonating a doctor in a striking case that raises serious concerns about medical integrity. Samrat Mukherjee, a former paramedic, has been sentenced to federal prison after admitting to posing as a doctor for multiple years. On November 4th, a federal judge ordered Mukherjee to serve 6 months behind bars following his guilty plea to charges of making false statements. The sentencing marks a culmination of an investigation that had actually been going on since late 2022. Now, Mukherjee's deceit came to light when his employer, Acadian Ambulance Service, carried out inquiries prompted by discussions among staff regarding his self-proclaimed medical credentials. It was during this investigation they uncovered he had no legitimate medical qualifications. This resulted obviously in his termination. That was on December 9th of 2022. And in an effort to distance himself from fabricated claims, Mukherjee subsequently surrendered his paramedic license to the Louisiana Department of Health. Well, that was real nice of them because they were going to likely suspend it anyway. Between May 19th and May of 2019, rather, and November of 2022, Mukherjee's fraudulent activities reached alarming proportions. He claimed to be a licensed medical doctor and concocted a variety of false documents. He even had a fake medical degree and a fabrication of a residency match letter. Now, even more disturbing than that, he participated in a celebratory event perpetrating to mark his graduation from an institution he never attended.
Oh, wow.
His actions even extended to prescribing medications illegally. Mukherjee called in prescriptions for himself and others using a fellow physician's national prescription identifier number. That's known as an NPI number. And essentially, this is an identifier used by real doctors to manage prescriptions. It's tied to one person. He was using that. Pharmacy claims for these prescriptions were submitted for health care benefit programs, including Medicaid and Blue Cross. In one instance, in October of 2022, Mukherjee actually wrote a cancer prescription for a cancer patient without consulting the oncologist. And this guy's not even a doctor.
Yeah, and you know, as someone right now, real quick, who has a mom who has cancer and is taking chemo, that pisses me off.
It pisses me off too, and I don't even, I don't have anybody
This
with
is someone's
cancer in my
life.
family now,
Yeah.
fortunately.
Yeah.
He forged another doctor's signature on the prescription. Now, Mukherjee's actions could have resulted in a potential sentence of up to 5 years in federal prison and a fine of as much as $250,000. How much you think he got, KJ? For faking being a doctor, prescribing scripts for even
And what was the
cancer
max he could have
patients.
gotten? 250?
5 years and $250 fine, $250,000 fine.
I mean, if I was the judge, he would have got all of it.
Okay. Well, he got 6 months
Shame.
in jail.
For shame. Because we won't know the long-term effects until they happen to these people.
Right. If hopefully there's none.
Right. But,
but
you won't know.
you won't. But yeah, 6 months.
Well, and I'm looking at photos of him online, and this is really creepy too. He's in a flight paramedic suit, and I zoomed in on his ID, and he does have his name and then MD after it. He
he's faking
There's another picture of him in his white coat, and he's in the blue scrub or blue scrubs, and another one in green. But he went and had those shirts monogrammed and things to say MD, and
He had a fake degree.
Yeah.
He had his own party for his medical graduation.
This is a level of deceit that's scary because now nothing he ever says, I would believe or trust. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Wow.
So, good God, that's crazy. I'm sure lawsuits are going to be filed.
Right, I'm
all over
sure
the place.
if they haven't already. Right.
All right, well, let's take it to Texas. It's too soon to rule out a potential serial killer behind a string of mysterious deaths in Houston's murky bayous, according to a local private investigator. They're saying they don't have a serial killer, but I'm not sure. This is according to Coleman Ryan, who is working with the family of 22-year-old Kenneth Cutting Jr. Maybe their objective isn't sexual assault. It's not robbery, but they're just throwing people in the bayou. Authorities have not yet accessed Cutting's phone or location records, Ryan said. With Cutting's cause and manner of death ruled undetermined in the autopsy and negative toxicology results, Ryan believes geolocation data and other digital clues should shed more light on his final hours. Houston leaders have downplayed the possibility of a serial killer following a rash of recent deaths involving the city's 2,500 miles of bayous, with Mayor John Whitmire blaming homelessness and substance abuse. 16 bodies. That's crazy, huh? 16 people have been recovered from the bayous so far this year, including a University of Houston student named Jade McKissick, who was last seen leaving a downtown bar on September 11th. The 20-year-old McKissick was found dead in Bray's Bayou days later. Neither McKissick nor Cutting was homeless, Ryan said, and neither of them had signs of trauma. I think they're just too quickly dismissing it, he said. Cutting was seen leaving Pete's Dueling Piano Bar on January 28th, 2024, after an apparent argument with one of his roommates. They reunited that evening, and at around 2 a.m., his roommates texted his father to say that he had gone, quote-unquote, crazy and got out of their car on a highway outside town. Days later, police recovered his remains from Buffalo Bayou, about a mile from where the roommates said he got out. A toxicology report found no drugs in his system. Now, there are alleged discrepancies in his autopsy, and that's raised additional questions from his relatives. Lauren Freeman is his cousin and said that a reference to orthopedic hardware in his neck had perplexed the family. No one was aware of him ever undergoing a surgery that would have placed it there. Now she claims that someone from the medical examiner's office told her the line was the result of a clerical error and that no such hardware had been found in Cutting's neck. After looking over everything in detail, there are other odd things, according to this cousin. For example, her cousin stood at 5 foot 3 inches tall, but was listed as 4 foot 8 inches tall in the autopsy report. Although he was small, she also took issue with the official weight of his remains at 89 pounds. According to his father, Kenneth Cutting Sr., the victim weighed about 115 pounds when he went missing 3 days before being found in the bayou. To me, his credibility is shot, Freeman said. Each cause has to be dissected on its own merits, timelines, re-interviews, and autopsy reports, said Joseph Jacalone. I believe that's how you would say this. A retired NYPD sergeant and criminal justice professor at Penn State, Lehigh Valley. Those reports and autopsies now come with a whole host of new problems.
Yeah, and, of course, we do a lot of research on this stuff, and those numbers, that's 16, shocking enough, but some articles I came across say it's as high as 28.
Wow.
bodies. And, initially they were tracking these, or they were chalking these up to transients and people that were homeless. But, college students ain't homeless. And now there have been several of those end up in that bayou. And
do we know if they're all the sex of them? Are they male and female, or are they all male?
I think it's a mixture, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, because we had our serial killer down here in New Orleans years ago, and he was knocking off men that were homosexual male. He was a homosexual male, and then he was targeting certain groups. So I was curious if there was a commonality maybe between these victims. But to dismiss that many bodies as something not connected seems very interesting. That's a lot of bodies, and I don't believe
it's a lot of bodies.
Coincidences.
And it's said 2,500 miles of bayou, so that's also a lot of area.
Yeah, but like historically,
2,500 miles is almost the entire. Think about it. That's almost from here to California.
Well, yeah, I guess. But historically, how many bodies are they pulling out at this rate? Because in comparison, if we look at the last, say, 20 years, and they've pulled out 9, and now in this short period of time, we've pulled out 16 to 20, whatever the number is, there's something going on there.
Well,
trends need to be looked at.
I agree 100%. And I'll say this, several of those were Houston students, went to college in Houston. Well, if that's the case, then they were probably in the same general area that they were found.
Right.
They weren't 2,500 miles from each other.
Right. And not to be a total,
something's going on.
Not to be a total and complete nerd here, but I'd also be interested, even if the toxicology came back and was saying nothing in the system, what if they are being drugged with something with a very, very short half-life? And so by the time they get the body, it's gone. Because that could be a link that's not there because it's not there, but it was. Yeah. So that would be something, too, I'd be interested in. Not to be a total nerd.
All right. Well, dig into it, KJ.
I'm going to solve it.
Do an episode on it. Let's go to Florida. And, of course, we brought you a tragic story about a woman who committed suicide in Florida. Well, people are now in utter shock as a 4th person has died at Disney World in Florida. The most magical place on earth has been home to some tragedies as of late. 4 people have reportedly died at the popular theme park over the last 3 weeks. A deceased person was reported most recently on November 2nd. Now, the call was reportedly placed shortly after 2 a.m. in the morning, and a spokesman for the sheriff's office said a woman in her 40s had passed away, noting that there were no signs of foul play. A 31-year-old woman was found dead at the park after being reported missing. She was later to have been found dead by suicide, and that was the one that we reported to you. A week later, a 60-year-old man was found dead at Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground. Stayed there, been there.
Me too. I loved it too. That was great.
A couple of days after that, a 28-year-old man died from multiple traumatic injuries resulting from what they're calling an intentional fall. So I would guess that's a suicide as well. And an investigation into the latest death is taking place. But man, what is going on in the happiest place on earth lately?
I guess when you look at mass volumes of people coming through, the chances go up that things would go wrong. But one was the old lady, or I don't want to say old lady, but the lady that was on the Haunted Mansion, right? She just suffered a medical emergency while on the ride, correct?
Correct.
Then we have the female that jumped to her death, which is horrible. Then we've got someone at Fort Wilderness, but he was in his 60s, correct?
He was 60?
Yeah.
That ain't old.
No, but I'm saying Fort Wilderness doesn't have rides or anything. I'm just
he may. I'm not saying they all committed suicide or they were killed. I'm just saying that's a lot of people in 3 weeks. And yes, they have a lot of people that go in and out of there, but that's never happened. They've had a lot of people going in and out of there for years. Yeah, I don't think I never used to read things like this.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not saying anything's going on crazy.
No.
I'm just saying, wow, it's prayers out to all those people.
That's just horrible, and prayers for their families and everyone involved. So we're now going to take it to Oklahoma. A Stillwater teenager convicted, oh, this one irks me. All right, a Stillwater teenager convicted of 10 rape-related charges, including domestic assault and battery by strangulation, attempted rape in the first degree, and rape by instrumentation, and one charge for violating a protective order, faces no jail time after he pled no contest. Initially, 18-year-old Jesse Butler faced a 78-year sentence, but he was granted youthful offender status. Now he will not face jail time if he does the requirements such as community service and attending counseling. Body cam footage shows the 17-year-old Butler being arrested at his home in Stillwater earlier this year. Records show the charges stem from incidents with 2 separate victims. People gathered at the Payne County Courthouse on Wednesday with signs in their hands making their voices heard as they called for justice. The justice system here in Stillwater has allowed a violent sex offender to walk free. Not only is he currently free and loose on the streets, he's a virtual student at Stillwater Public Schools as a senior, and after he finishes having the slap on the wrist, he doesn't even have to register as a sex offender, said protester Tori Gray. People line the street outside of the courthouse, including students. It really means a lot to show that there's a lot of people out here that really care and really want to make this world better and get people like him off the streets. And this was according to Stillwater High School student Gabriel McKenzie. Justice was top of mind for students in attendance. I want him to get what he deserves. He needs to be prosecuted. Worthington needs out of office, Stillwater High School student Tristan Turner said. A former Stillwater High School student named Kai Fultz Chenault was speaking about how much it meant to see other people out protesting. It makes me more hopeful that in these situations, we might get more justice for people.
Yeah, that is not only injustice. I'm probably going to do a case on Exposed about this guy. I really dug into him after I saw that story. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're having problems by the age of 18 of raping several different female co-students or whatever, people at your high school, you got a problem, brother.
Huge.
You got a major problem, and it's just going to get worse. And, you know, Kelly and I both cover crime in one way, shape, or form. And we see this all the time with these things escalating from there. I think this is horrible. Shout out to the students and whoever else was protesting out there saying this is some bullshit.
Well,
because it is.
And okay, rape is horrific. I'm not saying anything about that. But when you are doing assault and you're adding the strangulation element to it, you know, that removes life. You can survive rape, but that's terrible and it should never happen. But this guy has got a violent streak in what he is doing, and it seems that he's escalating. And this is where my issue comes in. If you're not abreast of this, I want to tell you, because status offenses are intended to be applied to juveniles who are committing crimes that maybe in and of themselves aren't a huge deal for an adult or a problem for an adult, but for a youth person, it's a big deal. So for example, youth offenders, if we're just going to give them youth status, usually I'm thinking something along the lines of being out later than curfew, being mischievous, spray painting, property, or minor in possession of alcohol. You know, that is they're status offenses because if an adult did it, it's not illegal. Now, I understand that they also go to jail for other things, but they have...
Wait, what do you mean if an adult did it, it's not
like
illegal?
you can be in possession of alcohol. You're an adult. It's not illegal.
But you can't spray paint buildings.
No, I know. But when we say a status offense, usually like you're not going to get charged with being mischievous, you know, or ungovernable.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You're just an asshole if you're an adult and you're spray painting shit.
But it's illegal.
Yeah. It's still property damage, but you're not going to be looked at as, oh, he's just a mischievous 50-year-old. No, you're not ungovernable.
Right.
Where an adult should have you, wrangled in. Mm-hmm. So touche though to what you're saying. But we kind of slap them on the wrist. Whereas if an adult is out spray painting walls, we're looking at you like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like what are you doing? So for them to take an 18-year-old and just give him this youth status and then let him walk, every victim he has from this point forward, which he will, it's on your shoulders, whoever made that decision.
Yeah, and, not register as a sex offender. That really blew my mind.
He should at least be tier 1. Come on.
Yeah.
There's 3 tiers of sex offenders if you don't know. Yeah, that's wrong. That is dead wrong. And I've seen people go to jail longer for smoking a blunt.
There you go.
Sick.
All right, let's go to Mississippi. And look, we brought you a story of monkeys last week, and I want to give you an update on that. Anytime there's breaking stories come out over the news, especially the monkey story from Mississippi, where everybody picked that up in the whole country. It was a national story. There were some reports that were coming out, and they would constantly change. At first, all 3 monkeys were caught, then they weren't caught, etc. I'm going to bring you an update.
And there was more than 3, right?
Yeah. There was 3 that actually escaped. 5 were caught on the scene, and then 15 were still in the cages.
Gotcha.
After the wreck. Or 5 were killed, rather, in the wreck. So initially, we thought, and many other people, that all these monkeys had been caught. But come to find out, they hadn't been caught. They have now, though, and some of them in kind of a tragic way. And I'm going to tell you about this one particular story. One of the monkeys that escaped last week after a truck overturned on a Mississippi highway was shot and killed by a woman who said she feared for the safety of her children. And I get it. Jessica Bond Ferguson said she was alerted by her 16-year-old son, who thought he had seen a monkey running around in the yard outside their home. This is near Heidelberg, Mississippi. She gets out of bed. She grabbed her firearm and her cell phone, and she stepped outside where she saw the monkey about 60 feet away. Bond Ferguson said she and other residents had been warned about the escaped monkeys carrying diseases, so she fired her gun. Quote, "I did what any mother would do to protect her children." Now, Bond Ferguson, who has 5 children ranging in age from 4 to 16, wow, she told the Associated Press, "I shot at it, it just stood there, and I shot again. He backed up, and that's when he fell." The Jasper County Sheriff's Office confirmed in a social media post the homeowner had found one of the monkeys on their property Sunday morning, but said the office didn't have any other details. The Mississippi Department of Wildlife and Fisheries took possession of the monkey. Now, before Bond Ferguson had gone out the door, she did call police, and she was told to keep an eye out for the monkey, but she worried that if the monkey got away, it would threaten children at another house. Quote, "If it attacked somebody's kid, or I could have stopped it, that would be a lot on me," said Bond Ferguson, a 35-year-old professional chef. "It's kind of scary and dangerous that they are running around and people have kids playing in their yards." Now, the rhesus monkeys have been housed at the Tulane University National Biomedical Research Center in New Orleans, which routinely provides primates to scientific research organizations, that according to a university. And if you'll remember in a statement last week, Tulane said the monkeys do not belong to the university, and they were not being transported by the university. A truck carrying the monkeys, of course, we told you, overturned on I-59 north of Heidelberg. So there you have it. That seems to be the last of the monkeys that were loose, and this lady took, I guess, things into her own hands.
You just know that monkey stood there because he was like, "What the hell? I've been thrown out of a truck. I've been through a wreck, and now I'm getting shot." Like,
yeah.
Damn, nature, you scary.
Look, and
she's cute, the mama. Look at her. I'm looking at a picture of her.
I saw that. Well, you can't look at it when they're listening.
I'm just telling y'all, she cute.
Well, put it on Facebook.
All right, we'll do.
So she basically, y'all, heard her dog barking as well, and her kid and her went outside, and she said the dog was almost fighting the monkey. It barked at the monkey, then growled at it, and the monkey swung on him. On the dog. Yeah.
Look,
well,
Jim,
I told you monkeys don't play, man.
Listen, I know that this is a little different, but I watched a thing just this morning, a little short of I Survived. Have you watched that show?
No.
Okay. This man, they're going to like a chimpanzee rescue place to go see these rescued chimps. What they didn't know was that 30 of them had escaped.
Wow.
So they go riding up on this truck, and this is like in Africa or something, and all of a sudden a 6'1", 240-pound like ape comes running after him.
That's not a monkey. That's a freaking silverback.
This sucker came. Listen to me.
Gorilla.
He attacked their truck like multiple times. He killed the driver, like shredded him.
Yeah.
He bit off the hand and foot of another guy. And then the one, like, you don't mess with like a 67-year-old man, because the one man, he got out and he's like, oh, hell no. He picked up a tree limb. He went to war with a tree limb and fought that whatever, big old monkey. And the monkey ran off.
It ain't a monkey. It's a daggum gorilla.
It was a gorilla. No, it was a chimp, they said, but it must have been a gorilla. Anyway, so he runs off. Turns out, y'all, he had fought and dominated the the ultimate male monkey. And so all the other ones in the pack retreated. Bruh, he beat up a monkey with a stick, but people died and he lived.
You keep saying monkey. It was a daggum gorilla.
Primate.
Gorilla.
Bruh. If I have to go hand-to-hand combat with anything that looks at me with expression and can punch me.
I went to a zoo one time and they had a silverback gorilla, and this sucker was laid back in that cage, and he didn't look happy about it. And you could almost touch him. He was that close to you. And let me tell you, that dude would beat that ass.
Look.
Any human man.
100 men, he'd whoop them.
Oh, yeah. They're very strong.
Two things I ain't messing with. A kangaroo, because those things have abs and claws, and a big old silverback.
Kangaroo tear somebody up, too.
Look.
Ain't no doubt about it.
Get it. All right, now, let's go to Illinois, where we need to bring a silverback to beat this woman's ass, okay? An Illinois woman is accused of giving birth to a child she conceived with a, drumroll please, 14-year-old boy. Robin Polston, 43 years old, is charged with 2 counts of criminal sexual assault with a victim between the ages of 13 and 17 and 2 counts of possession of child pornography. These charges, which can each carry a prison sentence of up to 15 years, all stem from Polston's alleged abuse of her daughter's friends. Hey everyone, CrimeWire Weekly has moved to its own new channel.
We hope you've enjoyed this preview. To continue listening, please follow the link referenced in the description of this podcast.
Or simply search CrimeWire Weekly wherever you're listening.
And don't forget to follow the show so you can be alerted when new episodes drop.
Thanks for listening.